I feel like whoever made the movie wanted to make Ready Player 2, but was told to make Space Jam. And that's what we got.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will, and I'm here to do my quick review for Space Jam: A New Legacy. That stars LeBron James, Don Cheadle, Shaniqua Martin Green, and Zendaya. This is the sequel to the original Space Jam that came out in 1996. So this is a 25-year-old gap between the two movies, but it's hard to tell because I don't think the movie is really treating itself like a sequel and more kind of like a reboot. So the movie focuses primarily on LeBron James. He is trying to connect with his son, and he is an overbearing father. He wants his kids to really focus and put 100%, 100% effort into whatever that they do, all that stuff like that. But obviously he's not paying attention to what his son really wants to do. They end up getting sucked into what is known as the cyberverse, so not really the internet, because it's really just all Warner Brothers. And this is all done through the omnipotent power of an AI program who's portrayed by Don Cheadle. And basically, to get his son back, he has to beat Don Cheadle in a basketball game. And for that, he gets sent to the rejects, which are the Looney Tunes, because, apparently they have no respect for the Looney Tunes in this movie. So that's basically the movie. It follows the formula of the original Space Jam kind of closely, but with some obvious changes to it. This is a 25 years later version of this movie, so they've clearly made updates not only to the graphics of the movie, which I gotta say the graphics of the movie actually look good, and they were fun. It was fun. I'm a sucker for good 2D animation, and I actually like the 2D animation that they did. I like how they incorporated LeBron into the 2D elements of the movie. Some of the 3D was just okay, but, that's just the elements of the movie. So I'm going to get this out of the way right now. I've already said it at the beginning of this video. This movie really feels like it wanted to be Ready Player One. So if you've never seen Ready Player One, it's another Warner Brothers property movie directed by Steven Spielberg. It came out a couple years ago. It was a really good movie. And I felt like when someone was trying to update this movie, they really took a lot of cues from Ready Player One. Besides just the location or the scenery, the fact that it featured a plethora of cameos from Warner Brothers properties and characters, which some of the cameos were actually really fun. I'm getting to most of the good stuff first. This is not a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good movie. It's just a movie. LeBron James is a basketball star. It's a basketball player. He's one of the greatest of all times. I'm not fully aware of a lot of his skills on the court. I kind of fell off of basketball many, many years ago. And the movie really wants you to focus on LeBron's story in the movie, which is not a bad thing to do, but LeBron is also not necessarily a trained actor. He's okay. You can tell in the movie that he is very stiff with a lot of his dialogue and his performance overall. When he's actually doing what he knows best, is playing basketball and being somewhat charismatic, it works. But the problem for me with the movie was that a lot of the movie focused on him being a very stern and misunderstanding dad to his son. A lot of the conflict felt very, very much manufactured, which obviously it's a movie, so the conflict's going to be manufactured regardless of what you do. But it felt super manufactured to the point where a lot of the issues could have been resolved with just a simple conversation between father and son. It is geared towards kids, obviously. You have the Looney Tunes being very much the co-stars to LeBron in the movie, but again, they don't necessarily feel as prominent as they did in the original. It's hard to not talk about this movie or to review the movie without comparing it to the original Space Jam back in 1996 with Michael Jordan. The premise of that movie was very simple. I just recently did a retro review on the movie. You're more than welcome to check that out. Link is in the description below. it's like I said, the story very much follows the same sort of ebb and flow. You have your human character or your athlete, your basketball star, has a brief beginning 20 minutes in the real world, and then whatever the inciting incident is that draws them to team up with the Looney Tunes begins. But I felt like they really wanted to amp up this movie to try to update it for a younger crowd or a more 21st century crowd, where the internet and the video games and things play such a major factor in the movie. But it also seemed more complicated than what you needed for the premise. I don't know if making LeBron the focal point of the story, if that worked overall in the end. I didn't really care about the father-son disagreement, because logically speaking, and again, it's hard to say logically speaking when someone gets sucked into the internet, so to speak, and has to play a basketball game against a rogue AI unit created by a movie studio. But logically speaking, it's something that could have been easily resolved, and it felt like it just got dragged out for almost 2 hours, if that kind of makes sense. There are a lot of elements and things in the movie that I felt were entertaining and that worked, and I enjoyed. I enjoyed most of the basketball game. I enjoyed some of the cameos. I liked the idea that they had to kind of travel to these different areas of Warner Brothers properties to retrieve some of the Looney Tunes that have been scattered, basically. I like Don Cheadle as Algorithm. It's supposed to be algorithm. It's a bad pun. It's a really bad pun. But I like Don Cheadle's performance in the movie. I think his charisma is really what carries the movie overall from a human perspective. Most of the other actors are rather underutilized, or in the case of LeBron James, doesn't really give a super captivating performance in the role. At least Don Cheadle seemed to have a lot of fun in the role and really played up the villain role to an 11 to really give the movie some sort of charisma that I kind of felt like it was lacking. I sound like I'm ragging on the movie, and I'm not trying to rag on the movie. Overall, it's not a bad movie. But it's not necessarily a good movie either. Another sort of thing that's, people might say about the movie was like, well, it's meant for kids. And, it's not meant to be like Shakespearean levels of performances. I'm not saying that, but there are kids' movies out there that actually are really well crafted and well told stories with great performances. I mean, just look at like How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, most of the Toy Story movies. I could jump to television and say Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's not a good enough argument to justify why a movie might be lacking or incoherent in certain spots. Which, unfortunately, Space Jam: A New Legacy kind of has that sort of issue. But again, I enjoyed a lot of elements of the movie. I enjoyed a lot of the scenes in the movie. I just don't feel like it's going to have some of the longevity or the nostalgia factor develops for the movie the way that the first Space Jam did. I came up when the first Space Jam came out, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And this one was also fun, but there's just a lot of sort of elements that you really have to kind of give a benefit of the doubt in terms of like things that make sense. Again, it's a human playing basketball with Looney Tune characters. That's a stretch into itself. But when you have certain things that happen in the movie, which again, I don't want to spoil here, but those things happen in the movie, and for me, it just kind of took me out of it, even more so than just being sucked into a virtual space with AI program that seems to have omnipotent powers and abilities to be defeated in a simple game of basketball, but it's really not basketball because it's more like a video game. It's weird. It's a weird sort of premise, which it just took the original premise from the first movie and kind of just, I felt like added more that didn't need to be added to make it work. I did love a lot of the cameos, and some of the subtle references to the original movie were good, but they also felt kind of lacking because it's like this wasn't really trying to be a sequel in certain aspects, but then it wanted to kind of pay homage to certain elements of the first movie. It's like, did they remember playing with Michael Jordan the first time? Or are these a completely different set of Looney Tune characters, not necessarily like the ones that we encounter in the first movie, but these are more so virtual characters. But then there's other points in the movies when they seem like they're not virtual and that they actually are real. And so it's little things like that made me feel very confused overall about the movie. But again, I was able to enjoy certain elements and parts of the movie, so it didn't feel like a complete bust. So overall, Space Jam: A New Legacy, I don't think it's going to have the staying power as the original one did, but it's not a bad movie. It's actually fun in certain aspects and parts of the movie. And, you know, I think Don Cheadle really carried the movie in terms of the charisma factor. LeBron James, unfortunately, as much as he tried in the movie and, you know, gave his all to give a really good performance, you could just definitely tell when someone hasn't had a lot of experience in that sort of avenue. And unfortunately, it shows on screen, especially when you make him the main center point of the entire movie. And the elements that could have been put in play to kind of hide some of that were pushed more to the background. That's my review of Space Jam: A New Legacy. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Comment down below and let me know your thoughts on that. But as always, thank you so much for watching this and all my videos. I really do appreciate it. You can follow me on all the social media listed at the end of the video. I've got a ton of videos currently on the channel right now that you're more than welcome to check out. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new and this is your first time checking me out. I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, some gaming, some drinking. I also do stuff on Twitch and on TikTok, and I'm on Instagram and most of the other social media, but all of those links are at the end of the video, as I've already said. So until next time, I will catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.